This video is now in session, and today I want to talk about the Arizona Republican Party and how it is completely doing the wrong things, doing the opposite of what they should be doing. Now, if you saw my brief story yesterday, January 23rd, you'll know that the Republican Party in Arizona censured three members of their own party: Doug Ducey, who is currently the Republican governor of Arizona; Jeff Flake, who used to be the Republican senator from Arizona; and Cindy McCain, the wife of John McCain, who was one of the most revered senators in Arizona history. So, just that censure alone it just gives a glimpse into why and what they are doing, and why are they doing this, and what is the usefulness of this. So, Arizona, the Republican Party in Arizona is completely going in the opposite direction of where they need to be. They should be going more towards a moderate position, towards a position like Doug Ducey or Jeff Flake, instead of Martha McSally or ultra-conservative Republicans. Because first of all, Arizona is now a swing state, and second, we have past precedent showing how being more moderate in Arizona in terms of a Republican works better than being a conservative. If you talk about being very conservative, the Arizona Republican Party started being very conservative in 2016. So 2016, Donald Trump did win. Donald Trump did win in Arizona, but it was by likely margins. In fact, it was not by a lot in comparison to Mitt Romney or John McCain in 2008. So that was one of the first signs that showed how Arizona was becoming more of a swing state, and that a lot of Arizona voters didn't want to be more conservative. And then we saw in 2018, in both in both the Senate and gubernatorial elections, how Democrats took advantage of that and actually won. This is the 2018 Senate race in Arizona between Kyrsten Sinema and Martha McSally. Martha McSally is pretty conservative. She calls herself part of the right wing. And as a result, she lost against Kyrsten Sinema. That was one of the first signs that showed that the Arizona GOP was going in the wrong direction. But then what did they do? Doug Ducey appointed Martha McSally to replace John McCain, who died of cancer. So what happened with that? Well, let's fast forward to 2020, because there is a 2020 special election, and you'll see that Mark Kelly beat Martha McSally. So yeah, that's not a good track record for the new Republican Party of Arizona. And if you look at the 2020 presidential race, you'll see that Joe Biden flipped Arizona for the first time since 1992. So that should be enough past precedent to show that Arizona GOP is not going in the right direction. And if you want more past precedent, let's go to 2016, the last time a Republican was in the Senate. That was John McCain. And if we go to 2014, not 2014, if we go to 2012, then you'll see the other seat was also Republican. Jeff Flake was able to win this seat by very large margins. 3 percentage points may not be a lot, but it's still some amount in Arizona. And this was with practically a blue shift, because Obama was running in this. He was running for president for re-election in 2012, which is why Democrats were able to do better in a lot of these states like Arizona. And yet Jeff Flake was still able to win because he was moderate. And Martha McSally is not moderate. If you need even more proof, let's go to Doug Ducey. Doug Ducey, even though he wrongfully appointed Martha McSally and cost Republicans' career in the Senate, Doug Ducey is more of a moderate. So if we go to 2014, he was able to win Arizona by wide margins, 12%. He won Arizona by 12%, which is very large. In 2018, he won. This was and by the way, this is a Democratic wave year, if you remember. Democrats took 40 plus seats in the House, and they also flipped 2 seats in the Senate, even though Republicans flipped 4 of their seats. So even in this kind of race, Doug Ducey won by 15%. He broadened his margin from 12 to 15%, and that shows how moderate Republicans work in Arizona. But the Arizona GOP is censoring all of these people. It's repudiating all the moderates who actually won in these elections. They're repudiating Doug Ducey. They're repudiating Cindy McCain, as I said earlier, and Jeff Flake. All people who have won in elections, with the exception of Cindy McCain, but her husband won in many elections in Arizona. So I do not get what the Arizona GOP is trying to achieve here besides coddling to Trump's coddling to Trump, but that shouldn't matter anymore because Trump is no longer president. Biden is president. And to add on to this, Doug Ducey is not even going to run for the Arizona Senate in 2022. If we look at the 2022 map right here, this is what the 2022 map looks like. There are 6 toss-up seats. You can include New Hampshire if Chris Sununu is running for that seat. But if you look at all the other seats, Arizona is going to be a very competitive seat. This is Mark Kelly's seat. He was elected in 2020 in a special election, and 2022 is going to be a regular year for this seat. So the fact that Doug Ducey is not going to run makes this prospect a lot better for Democrats, because Doug Ducey was one of the only people who could actually make this race competitive. Now, obviously, this race is going to be competitive no matter who's the Republican candidate, but if we're just basing off of what happened with Doug Ducey in 2014 and 2018, he was very popular with the Arizona population. Now, I mean, he might not be as popular because of COVID-19, but it's not like he's less popular than Martha McSally. He's way more popular than Martha McSally. Martha McSally wasn't even elected to the Arizona Senate seat, and she lost. You don't elect someone who lost a Senate seat to a Senate seat expecting them to win in their next election. So Martha McSally lost twice, but I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if the Republican Party nominated Martha McSally once again. But as they say, third time's the charm. But obviously, it's not going to work with Martha McSally, and it's not going to work with these very conservative Republicans. So if Democrats, now that Doug Ducey is not going to run for the 2022 Senate election in Arizona, then Democrats actually should start to relax a bit in Arizona, unless if some other good big name candidates in Arizona decide to run, or if someone from out of state decides to move into Arizona, like what Mitt Romney did in 2018, I believe. So if that's a seat that Democrats don't have to worry about, if they can keep that just like a lean seat, then they don't have to worry as much, or they don't have to invest as much in Arizona, which means that they can invest more money in states that actually matter. States like Wisconsin, if they want to get a 53-seat majority, they have to get all of these 6 toss-up races. So if they want to get that, they have to invest most in Wisconsin, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. But most importantly, they should be investing in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. Georgia, it's expected that Stacey Abrams will be running for the gubernatorial election there to go head-to-head with with the Republican governor again. So if Democrats are going to invest in that race, then they're also in some ways investing in Raphael Warnock's race. So that's a 2-in-1 for Democrats. But Otherwise, they should be spending most in Wisconsin and North Carolina. Wisconsin, they won it in 2020 by less than a percentage point. In North Carolina, they lost it by 1.3 percentage points. So, but it's still not a contention for North Carolina, depending on which Democratic candidates run in that race, and depending on which Republican candidates run, then it can be good for Democrats if the Democratic governor of if the Democratic governor of North Carolina runs for the North Carolina Senate seat in 2022, and if Laura Trump somehow wins in the Republican primary, that's actually pretty good for Democrats, because Laura Trump, even though she is part of the Trump family, she isn't a politician. Now, is it likely that Laura Trump will be able to win the Republican nomination in North Carolina? And just to give some context, Laura Trump is running in North Carolina's Senate race, which will be an open Senate race in 2022. There's a retiring Republican. So if Laura Trump actually wins that, then then eeks. Democrats would actually have a good time in 2022 in terms of the Senate. In the House, I still don't think they'll be able to win the House in 2022 just because of gerrymandering. But for the Senate, they actually have a possibility of winning, and we've seen this with past president. If you look at 2010, 2018, those were races where the incumbent in the White House, that party, had gained seats in the Senate, or at least not lose their majority in the Senate. So that's what Democrats could do. They could actually be gaining seats in the Senate, especially if Doug Ducey is not running, which he's not running in the Arizona Senate race, and if Chris Sununu is not going to be running in New Hampshire, that's another good win for Maggie Hassan. And then if Laura Trump runs, or Roy Cooper, who is the Democratic governor of North Carolina, runs, then that would be good for Democrats. If Ron Johnson doesn't run again, if Ron Johnson retires, which is actually not impossible, Ron Johnson has signaled that he might retire, then that would also be another good thing for Democrats. If Stacey Abrams runs in Georgia, that would be good for Democrats. And all of these scenarios that I'm bringing up, they're actually kind of likely to happen. Chris Sununu has a chance of not running. He may run for a final term in New Hampshire. North Carolina, Roy Cooper actually has a good chance of running, because if he doesn't run, then he's not going to be able to run for another term as governor in 2024. If Stacey Abrams has a good chance of running in Georgia's gubernatorial race, which would help Raphael Warnock. Doug Ducey already said he's not running in the Arizona Senate. That's good for Democrats. Nevada is I expect Democrats to win this, unless if it's a Republican wave year. For Wisconsin, Ron Johnson actually has a chance of not running for another term. So it's all. And for Pennsylvania, Pat Toomey said he's retiring, so that's also good for Democrats, because Pat Toomey is one of the only Republican candidates who can actually win in the Pennsylvania Senate race. So that's all I have to say for this video. I know I went off a bit in a tangent. Started from the how the Arizona Republican is screwing up, to Democrats can actually gain seats in the Senate. But that's the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next one.